about some of the legal troubles one may find themselves in when it comes to getting a divorce. As many people may know, custody of the kids can be one of the most contentious parts of the process. So we are offering you some tips this morning for those who may need it. Joryn Jenkins is here from Open Palm Law to teach us how the process works and how to diffuse the hostility. Welcome back to the show, Joryn.
Good morning, Malik.
So glad you are here. Really enjoyed our conversation last time. And, it's unfortunate that many people go through this. But since people go through this, we really want to talk about it on today's show. So first, let's talk about custody. How is custody determined when you're going through a divorce?
It's funny because a lot of people don't use the term custody anymore. We call it time sharing because it used to cause a big fight. Who had custody and who had visitation? If everybody has time sharing, it seems much more equal and it doesn't cause the hostility that we're going to talk about later. So we talk about time sharing. And when the judge is looking at how to award time sharing, he's going to look at what the history of the relationship has been. Did mom stay home with the kids? If mom stayed home with the kids, then he's probably going to let mom have more time with the kids because that's what the kids are used to. Usually the judges want to keep the kids as stable and secure feeling as that judge can. And that's going to be one way they do it. I mean, they look at all the other things. How capable are the parents of taking care of the kids? How morally fit are the parents? Lots of parents come in and want to argue to me, well, she's been smoking marijuana since we got married. Moral fitness is not about, what has been the history of the relationship. It's about any recent events that might really be morally, cause that parent to be morally unfit. Substance abuse might be a big thing. If substance abuse is a new thing, and that would affect also the mental and physical ability of the parent to parent. So you want to look at all of those kind of obvious things that any person coming to consult me with the first time throws at me. All of those items that have to do with keeping the child stable in the same environment, in the same school system, in the same, parental situation.
I wonder, Ms. Jenkins, depending on the age of the child, how much does their input impact this custody decision? Does it at all?
Almost not at all. It's very, very rare. Parents all the time think, oh, my kid's going to be 12 soon. She'll be allowed to talk to the judge. No. I've had judges tell 17-and-a-half-year-old young men who are 6 feet tall, you're a kid. You are not in the middle. I'm not putting you in the middle. This is not your decision. It's my decision. It's your parents' decision. And when you're 18, you can do whatever you decide to do, but you're 17-and-a-half right now.
Unbelievable. Wow. Thank you for answering that. And now let's talk about child support, right? Once custody is determined, then child support comes into the picture. How is that determined?
Well, as you might well imagine, and you've kind of alluded to it, Malik, the custody arrangements, the time-sharing arrangements will cut into the child support. It's kind of the obvious things. What's the family income like? If you're making millions of dollars, then that child's going to deserve more child support than if you're making, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year. So you look at the father's income, you look at the mother's income. The total family income is the two of those added together. But you also need to look at the number of children. If there's only one child, then the child support will be less. If there are 3 children, it'll be higher. You want to look at, again, how many overnights. If the kids are at mom's far more than they're at dad's, then dad's likely to pay child support to mom, even if he's earning less than mom, if you do the math. Most states, and not every state is the same as the next state, but most states have some sort of computation that you go by. Now, Louisiana is a civil code state, the only one, it's unique. The rest of us go by common law. So we have statutes. I'm not quite sure how the civil code works for child support, but it probably has a computation in there. And you're looking at the expenses, but you're not looking at things like the mortgage or the food. You don't have to be that specific. But who pays for daycare? Who provides the health insurance? Those are two that the courts generally want to add into the math. and it's a mathematical computation. And the only other thing I want to say about that is that there are usually mathematical computations you can find online. So Louisiana child support computation, Google that, and you might come up with a couple of apps. They won't give you the same exact answer. For some reason, the apps never agree, but they're only a few cents off from each other, so get over it.
It really is an interesting conversation we're having this morning. And I would just like to say, which I'm sure you agree with, this doesn't always end badly. You know, we see a lot of times, you know, certain situations that may end badly, but, you know, when the family can come together and really talk it out and go through this legal process, hopefully things can end in a good way, because at the end of the day, we're talking about children here, right? You know,
and what's best for them.
And
that's
what's best for
most of anything. They're going to look at what is in the best interest of this child.
So true. Well, look, Joryn Jenkins, thank you so much for joining us once again. And hey, if you need more information about this topic, including how to dispute, you know, custody battles, head over to joryn.jenkins.com, or you can also follow her law firm on social media at Open Palm Law. Now, all right, everyone, we have a lot more coming up after the break. We're actually continuing our conversation about kids and divorce. We talked about the legal part of a divorce, but what about the mental health of the child? How do you introduce this to your children? That interview after the break. Stick with us.